I can't wait to talk about this. Uh, it's an awful movie, but it's so great
Love
at the
it.
same time. Yeah, thank you, Mysterious Voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, and also Strike the Sun MD. It is I, Mr. Nothing, and today we are talking about another movie, as we do at least once a month. And I am joined as always by Lucas from Strike the Sun MD. Hello, Lucas.
Hello, hello.
It's good to
How
see
are
you
you?
coming from a different place today.
Yeah, I'm back in
Um,
America.
I'm pretty wonderful as always, except for the rains here in California. But today we have an interesting movie to talk about, one that I think we both had pretty interesting reactions to. And as I mentioned last month, we hadn't talked about trash cinema, which is a cinema that's our version of, or it's like an area of Hollywood that's meant to be subversive. I wouldn't even call it
Mm,
Hollywood, as like Hollywood kind of distanced itself from these kinds of movies, except recently where John Waters was given a ceremony of like a star in the Walk of Fame, which is pretty cool for him.
yeah,
But
well deserved.
Mhm. But yeah, so today we're talking about Pink Flamingos. I have a copy of the DVD right here. It was made
That
in
rocks.
1972. It was directed, written, filmed, and narrated by John Waters. And it's starring Divine, who was a drag queen. Divine also did some acting under their original name in as well, but that's less famous, and also starring David Lochary among a couple others. I should note before we begin, Lucas, that I sent you a link to the Internet Archive where anyone can find it and watch it for free. But I actually went out and bought the DVD, which is this fun little Criterion DVD. It's styled in the form of a package, like the one that Connie sends to Divine in the movie. And then
Did
uh,
you buy this before or after you watched the movie?
before I was just like I'm gonna buy. I probably won't ever really watch it again. I probably will. It'll be interesting to watch it while inebriated. But there's a painting of Divine, and then if you open it up, it has, of course, the DVD, but it also has the um uh a fake newspaper clipping
Oh, that's awesome.
that
I
you
want
see in
this
the
DVD.
yeah that you see in the movie. Um, but this is also just sort of like a couple like different articles or different like interviews with some of the people who made the movie and including John Waters. And so like one of the things it's like, oh, here's about the transfer, here's who's starring in the movie. Um, John Waters says that his mother said, "You're Beelzebub," my mother screamed at John as we tore down the street. "Did she read the script or something?" John asked. He was upset. "She sure did," I said. So yeah, it has some interesting insight into the movie, which I really like. And the DVD, like it also comes with interviews and director commentaries. I should really watch the director commentary because I'm sure it has some interesting insight from John Waters, who is the weirdest person on the planet. But yeah, that's what I just wanted to say about the
Yeah.
movie. It does come from that trash cinema, subversive, not really not really trying to be like your standard award-winning film. It's trying to gross you out. It's trying to be grotesque in order to make a point, which you don't really see a lot today. I'm sure it exists out there, but it's harder to find as the original, creators kind of grow distance and grow distant
Mm.
from it. And then the last thing worth noting is, of course, this was made in 1972. This is 3 years removed from Stonewall. the riot that took place at that bar in New York. So gay rights in 1972, not as good as they could be. And so this is you could possibly argue, and we'll talk more about that later, that this is sort of like uh, a a confrontation of every belief that they must that the normal public, conservatives and liberals alike, must have of LGBT individuals.
Mm.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
introduction. What are your
it's a very,
preliminary thoughts there, Lucas?
yeah. Well, I don't even know how we can talk about it. I loved it, of course. You enjoyed it too, you told me. Um, I guess just my feeling of watching it was that I felt free and like liberated in some way by watching this movie. Um, because it's just so like uncinematic, completely trash, I guess, as you said, and just throws all morals into the garbage where they belong. And it just felt like, I don't know, I felt like a new appreciation for life in some way. Like, even though it's like, there's like homophobia, transphobia, sexism, scat,
Hmm.
um, incest, just the worst of the worst possible like themes. It just felt like so full of life and like a love, like there was a lot of love for life and also kind of an angry film, I suppose. But for me, I felt very free, like watching it, just like I don't know why. I just felt like, yes, somebody gets it. That was my impression.
Yeah, my thoughts are similar to that, but like my thinking is just when you think the mo movie has shown you the most depraved thing it can think of, it like John Waters introduces another like completely insane, and I know this is not a good word to use sometimes, but like completely depraved kind of item that we have to discuss. It just like I was like, oh, this movie isn't as bad as some people say it might be, or gross. And then like, wow, bam, you see a woman sticking meat up her legs, or Divine sticking meat up their legs.
Yeah,
And then other stuff following that just made me want to uh throw up, I think.
yeah. I felt like throwing up quite a few times in the movie, and I loved it.
Well, let's get into the movie and discuss some of the points. Although it's hard to follow because there's a plot, but it's kind of a loose kind of movie.
Yeah,
So the movie focuses on Babs, otherwise known as Divine. Divine is apparently on the run from the law, for reasons that aren't quite clear. And so Divine's going by the name of Bab Johnson, living in a trailer with their weird family, a woman named Cotton, just traveling partner, her mother who lives in a baby crib, and then
yeah,
her son, Cracker, which I love that name. It's just so stupid. They're living together in a trailer. That's not they're not legally living on land. They're not paying rent or anything.
yeah,
It should be noted. And
yeah.
then yeah.
I guess it should also be noted. I said all the it has, it's sexist, it's homophobic, it's transphobic, it's this and that. It's also like ableist against Edie, not against Edie, but it like there's a few. I think the narrator calls her mentally ill or something like some kind of derogatory. Nowadays would be considered derogatory, but also it's very classist in this sense. But never all of these things are never in a way where it's like they're not the joke.
They're
Like
just
the
they're just
family
living
is
their life.
yeah, they're just living their life. And yeah, there's these like classist or sexist or whatever uh comments being made, or ableist comments being made, but they're not like the butt of the joke at all, ever. They're just living life. And I like, even though it's shocking and offensive, right? one part is maybe a bit too much, a little bit in early on, but even though it's so shocking and offensive, especially this weird family, Edie is such a strange mother. I don't understand the family dynamic. How did Cook? It's not Cracker. I thought it was Cookie.
No, it's Cracker.
Yeah, I don't know how Babs is his mother exactly, or how Edie was able to have a child.
You're not supposed to think of it
But
about it too
in
deeply.
Babs, don't think about it too hard. Just
Yeah.
accept it.
Yeah, it's really really bizarre and just don't, try not to think about it. I don't think it's really ableist or transphobic. I think it's showing these people doing various
The
things
movie is.
and
I don't think the movie is, but I'm saying there's like content in it, things that people say, particularly what's his name, Cummings. Like when he dresses in Connie's clothes, they kind of make fun of him for cross dressing and this kind of thing. So it's a little
yeah.
like transphobic in that way. Like there are transphobic things happening, but it's never like hateful.
Yeah, I get it.
It's
I get what
just
you
showing
mean.
how ridiculous this kind of like these kind of comments are. Like that's the joke, not the transgender type behavior. That's not the joke. It's just this ridiculous behavior in this ridiculous world is the joke.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah, so she lives with her weird family and they're preparing for a celebration, a birthday celebration, I believe. And then the movie cuts to the Marbles, who the uh the narrator describes as perverts, which I love. And we meet Connie, the professional hater, who I wrote I love Connie over and over and over again because Connie is just so awful, but she's delightfully awful.
And
Uh
I changed my
she
letterbox picture to her. I love
so
her.
it should be noted, like Connie is kind of like a conservative's nightmare in terms of what she's doing. Her and Raymond, the Marbles, have kidnapped, or they regularly kidnap at least two pregnant women, or just two regular
No,
women,
they just
and then they have
they kidnap women and impregnate them.
yeah, and then they give those babies to lesbians.
Yeah.
It's like
which
it's every single
which
like
funds their drug.
yeah, it's like every
Yeah,
single
continue.
perception about LGBTs from conservatives' point of view. Like, oh, they're stealing our children and they're giving it to lesbians.
Yeah, and on top of that, they're like funding themselves by trafficking drugs to inner cities area
Oh, I saw that and I thought that was
to
very
support
hilarious.
this.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially the conflict of the movie is that Babs has been proclaimed as the filthiest person alive, and Connie is upset because she believes that her and Raymond
Raymond.
are the filthiest people alive. It should be noted that Raymond regularly goes to like parks and exposes himself to
Yeah,
to women,
he
which is
mm,
all kinds of gross.
he ties a sausage to his penis and then jiggles it around.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Oh
so
God.
so at this point, like Babs is going into the city. She tries to hit a jogger and also she like she yeah, she tries to hit a jogger and then she stops to pretend that she's picking up a hitchhiker and then just keeps driving, which is hilarious. Uh, it gives you pretty much an insight into
Oh,
Babs'
that
character.
that was my favorite scene when Babs is that was when I told you this movie is insane because yeah, Babs pretends to pick up a hitchhiker and then like almost runs him over, and then it just cuts to Babs just laughing maniacally. I love that so much. That
Right.
was my favorite part.
It's very funny. But Babs goes to the market to pick up meat, places it between her legs, which is
Her
all
little
kinds of
oven.
disgusting. Uh, and she saves it for later, and I think we even see it being cooked. So,
Yes.
uh, we see Channing, the marble slaves, or the marble slave, who is regularly going down to the basement to take the babies, from the people, it seems like the women died during childbirth, and they just replace
Yeah.
the women,
Yeah.
and so it's like
That's terrible.
it's heavily implied that Channing is either raping or like inseminating the women in some way,
No,
and
he is raping them.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
it's and
Because
it.
the woman that is pregnant, who he uh just keeps yelling at him, how could you rapist, you got me pregnant, how could you do that, how do you live with yourself, I can't believe, and she just keeps going on and on like this. And then later when they bring another woman in, she keeps saying like, what are you going to do, are you going to rape her like you did me to get her pregnant? And then he says like, I don't need to put my penis in this time, I found a new method. Well, we can talk about that when we get there, but anyway,
Yeah.
we see Channing.
Oh, it's really bizarre. Uh, but yeah, Connie says she wants to be filthier than divine, and then you see a new character, Cookie. Cookie's actually the spy that I think
Oh
you're
yeah, yeah,
referring
that's
to.
Cookie. Okay.
Like Connie hires Cookie to infiltrate Babs's life. And we hear that Cracker found a woman earlier. And not only this, but Cotton apparently likes watching Cracker have sex, which is bizarre already.
She's a cut queen.
That's what you meant by that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. She's a cut queen. It's a woman cuck, I guess. Cuckold.
Okay.
Yeah, that was another amazing scene. Just the way they're like, please make it good. Don't let her make it stop. Don't let her make it worse. Please. Oh, please.
I was trying to imagine the bizarre things that Cracker would do. And we see, in fact, that Cracker does have sex with Cookie, but they use a chicken. And here is where I found the most uncomfortable, most, unnecessary part of the movie. Because, like, I feel like it crosses a line in a way that the other parts, like, they cross lines, but, like, it's all done to, poke fun at conservatives or the people who would, like, would guffaw
Yeah.
at such things. Here it seems like Cracker, one of the protagonists, someone we might need, like, we're probably trying to root for in this movie, rapes Cookie and also like does animal
With a
abuse.
chicken.
Like that's an
Yeah, they
actual
killed the
live chicken that
chicken.
they're using in the movie.
The chicken died and they ate it right after.
Oh, I didn't catch that part.
They caught on video the chicken being killed, like while
Oh,
he's like raping her. And then
okay.
after
Well,
that, they ate him.
okay. Well, that's awful. And that's like one of the biggest issues that I have with the movie is that scene right there.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like, even though the women that are locked in the basement, like, they're raped, but I guess because we don't really see it. I mean, we do see Channing like jerk off into his hand and then use a syringe to pull it into the like pull the semen, and then he inserts it into her very hairy vagina. So I guess that is rape, but it didn't feel as gross as the chicken scene with Cookie and Cracker. Um, yeah, I guess that one maybe was a bit too far for me as well. Like I didn't really see the point. Whereas other shocking, horrible things, I understood. Like even like I said, the even when he's like using the syringe, okay, this is part of like a conservative, like still part of criticizing like conservative ideas of LGBT or like the poor or whatever. But that one, it was just kind of like, okay, they're awful people. It wasn't as funny as almost running over the hitchhiker. It was just kind of like, okay, he's a rapist and she enjoys watching him rape other women. That's, I don't get it. Bit
Yeah.
much. And it takes a
Um.
while too. It's like a minute and a half long or something.
Oh yeah. Like it dwells too much. And luckily this is the worst. Well, I wouldn't say it is the worst part of the movie because everything else is like it's all in good fun of being awful.
Yeah, the
Um,
rest of it is horrendous, but good fun.
we then see Connie go kidnap another woman, shortly before
Mm.
Channing rapes this woman. And then like as she's kidnapping her, like she and Raymond are just like calling her a whore and like asking if she's going uptown to pick up a venereal disease. And it's kind of funny what they're doing, but also completely horrendous. I should also note, like prior to this, while Connie's like interviewing people, she does say one of my favorite parts of the movie, or like one of my favorite quotes, and that is, "There are two kinds of people in this world: my kind of people and assholes."
Guess that narrows down which one you are.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, and then like after Connie's plan comes to fruition of just ruining everyone's lives, she finally sends Babs a box or like a package of poop and a letter. And when Babs receives that letter, which is also one of the another funny part of the movie, like Babs demands to know that
Mm.
like she demands to know how like the mailman found them in the first place since it's an unlisted address and they're illegally parked on federal land. Specifically, Connie addresses it to Babs Johnson, a trailer, Phoenix, Maryland, which is just it's just
Yeah.
really silly.
I love
So
how I also love how they're getting prepared. Who did anybody follow you? Did anyone follow you? Okay, Cracker, make sure you get your gun. Point them right in the head, right between the eyes. Oh my God. It's just, they're so insane. Such a ridiculous. And, I guess we haven't mentioned it. The acting is so bad.
yeah.
It is incredibly wooden, but it's so wooden. Like, if it wasn't, like, if they acted like, I don't know if they actually are bad actors or John Waters wanted them to do it this way. Whatever, it works perfectly because everything is so insane that if they sounded genuine, it would be much more horrifying and it wouldn't be funny at all.
Right.
Like, and one thing I think about the directing that I really love is like when people are talking, they will talk forever. They just won't stop saying stuff. And they just stand there and they don't move their arms and they just keep talking and saying the most insane things you've ever heard in your life. Like you don't see that in a movie ever. People will be moving, the camera angle will change. You'll see facial expressions, the tone of voice will change, but they're just like it's like they've had rote memorization of the script and they're just saying everything they remember.
That is a perfect description of it. Also, like John Waters, like yeah, the camera doesn't cut, it just zooms in on people and zooms back
Yeah,
out.
yeah. It's so I just like I said, it felt very freeing to see like it just doesn't follow any rules at all and doesn't have any morals at all. It felt
It,
so liberating and free.
when Raymond does that, like Raymond's acting is by far the most charming and bad because he
Yes.
like the way he just goes on rants and just starts talking about the most
Yeah.
insane things ever. It just comes off as just so incredibly refreshing.
Yeah, it does. He actually like in a weird way, like he's probably the most wooden, but he also feels the most genuine. Like I can believe that he's actually crazy.
Yeah, okay. So the next part is the Eggman shows up, which Babs's mom has been talking about nonstop. And it turns out there's a man who delivers eggs to the trailer. But before this, Babs reads the letter that Connie sent and is angry that someone would dare try to upstage her as the most filthy person alive.
Yeah. It's
That's
an attack on her divinity.
Mhm. So yeah, Babs is just aware of these people now. The Eggman shows up, and I think he proposes to Babs' mom, which is wonderful for them. And then you have Babs's birthday party, one of the most bonkers scenes of the movie. in an already bizarre kind of movie. Uh, like you see a bunch of very unusual kind of subversive counterculture type characters of like Babs in a very delightful white dress, or which I like. And then like some dude showing his asshole to people and people cheering for that. You have strippers
Yeah.
and just yeah, the most strange people alive. But it's a celebration of all of these
You
people.
skip. Yeah, that's right. You skipped something. Oh, maybe am remembering the order wrong. Babs does get the letter, and she's very upset about it. But it's a present that that they've sent, and inside the present is human waste,
Right, I
poop.
forgot to mention that.
Yeah, and I can't remember what she says, um, but it's like, oh good, oh God, oh good God Almighty, someone has sent me some human waste, something like that. It's anyway. Then they have a celebration of life to prove who's filthiest.
Yeah, yeah. No, the way Divine says human waste too, like she says it in a specific way that's like that no one ever really says. So again, like kind of
Yeah,
getting at the just weird script here, if they even used a script.
yeah. To be honest, I don't know if they had much of a script. I think they just kind of had a rough idea about, okay, let's talk about this in this scene, and we maybe we'll work it out. Uh, but I don't know if they really had a script. I can't remember what she says. It's not human waste. Anyway, she just the way she says, "Oh, good God Almighty, someone has sent me some shit" or something like that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh,
God,
also while the birthday party
the
is
movie.
taking place, Connie and Raymond are kind of like staring at it from afar, but also really close in a way that I think Babs
Mm.
should see, but nobody does anything about it. They just, point their fingers like they're really angry and upset that someone would dare to try to be filthier than them. And then Raymond
Oh,
calls the
that's right. Sorry.
police.
Oh my God Almighty, someone has sent me a bowel movement.
There we go. Yeah, like just weird phrasing.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, they are watching, and then they call in the police, who are then immediately killed and cannibalized.
Let's let's talk about that. Like one, I think it's like in line with Raymond and Connie's characters to call the police, because they're
Yeah,
awful people. But like there's a lot to this scene because again,
yeah,
the Stonewall happened 3 years previously, so there's a history of people calling the cops on LGBT individuals to, get them to
right.
stop being so extravagant and living their lives. But then you see the police show up, and it's very clearly just four weirdly dressed people who aren't actually police officers, but are called
Yeah,
police officers. And then like Babs and her friends go inside the trailer and then run out, and Babs has this like hatchet that she got as a gift. And as you
yeah,
said, they kill the police officers, and we see like a scene where they're eating their body parts. Again, like a sort of
yeah.
confrontation of the audience.
Joyously eating
Oh yeah.
to some great music.
But that's like a confrontation of
Sound-
the audience where they say that like oh you think we're awful people, the LGBT community, you think we're awful, so here's us eating the police officers. Here's
yeah,
what you think of us.
yeah. I think at that point I realized, at least for me, I realized like um oh God, Connie and Raymond are conservative reactionaries who are just as degenerate,
Yeah.
but they want they want to be known for their degeneracy, I guess, or for their filthiness. Um, I guess because Connie has a this war with Divine, but they also dress extremely well. They have a very nice home, and like they have a it seems like they have quite a bit of money. I mean, it's drug money and um, selling raped babies to lesbian money, but but um, and I guess because they call the police, I was just thinking like they're such reactionaries to these like poor, low class people, just living their life and, you know, being reacting in that way. Um, Although it maybe doesn't totally fit in line with like Connie's and Raymond's ultimate goals. They do like later in the movie back out and try to say, "Oh, we were sorry, we're sorry. We didn't want to, you know, you're the filthiest." So I don't know. I kind of felt like they were a stand-in for like conservative reactionaries at that point when they called the police. Myself, just my
Hmm.
opinion, to some level, maybe not fully.
And then yeah, like that exactly what you were saying, how their lives are just as weird as the LGBT group.
Mm.
But like their especially their bedroom lives where they have like this weird foot fetish, which I'm kink shaming here. Sorry about that. But like
Yeah, that was probably the most normal thing, except because you see it and they're so into it, it's pretty gross. Like I don't think it's I'm not that grossed out by them having a foot fetish, but how into it they are is too uncomfortable to watch on camera.
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so at this point, after they kill and eat the police and they're celebrating some more, like Raymond and Connie go home, but before, as they're going home, Raymond makes Connie stop at the park again, and he does his whole exposing thing to the woman, and it's revealed that this person that he's exposed himself to is a transvestite, if I'm using that word correctly. Um,
I think so. Or another drag, well, not a drag queen because they don't have the like same like makeup style as Divine. I think they were just transvestite or transgender or something. Um,
And they expose
yeah,
themselves back to
and
Raymond, and Raymond's like, oh,
I
he
love that part. That was so funny.
yeah, so he doesn't like what he's dishing out. And they run
Yeah.
back, uh, and like at this point, like Babs decides to get revenge on Connie, and Connie also goes to Babs's trailer while no one is there and burns it down, which Babs and them find out about later. But Babs and Cracker go to Connie's house and Raymond's house,
Hmm.
and they rescue the women who are in the basement, and those women castrate and kill Channing, which is unfortunate.
Who has been locked away in the closet for dressing in Connie's clothes, which Raymond and Connie shame him for and then lock him away so he won't do anything. Even though I promise I won't do it again. I promise I'll stay still. I'll stay in my room. Don't lock me in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but when Divine and Cracker get to the house, they start licking everything to show how filthy they truly are.
Hmm.
And Cracker is like, "Mom, you want me to shit on something?" And Divine's like, "No, no, son, don't leave anything big yet." And then, mm, mm, she gives him a divine gift, a gift of divinity,
Hmm. And one of the most
where
disgusting parts of the movie, the one that really upset me, because like they it was explicitly said that they were like mother and son. Like
yeah,
Babs gives Cracker a blowjob and
a gift
fellatio.
only mother could love. A gift only a mother could give you. A gift of divinity. Oh, oh, oh.
And they actually show it on screen, which is
Yeah,
even
unsimulated
worse.
for like
Um,
30 seconds. And then Cracker's like, "Oh, get my balls too. Oh, thank you, Mama. Thank you. I receive you. I am yours." And then they find out Channing is there. And Divine's like, "Stop this right now."
yeah. So yeah, they're doing it in an effort to just completely like ruin the house, which the house successfully ruined. And then like Connie and Babs like go back to where they live. Connie and Raymond find out that the house is now rejecting them. Like they can't sit on the couches because the couches are throwing them off, which is very funny. And then they see that Channing has been castrated and killed, and they're just like, "Oh, we got to go confront Babs." And then Babs sees that their trailer has been burnt down, and they're equally angry. And then like they show back up, and we
Mm.
finally get a confrontation, which is probably maybe my favorite part of the movie. where Babs puts Connie and Raymond on trial.
Mm.
And she specifically invites her newspaper journalist friends to watch the trial and
The Tattler and
execution.
something. Yeah. And they ask her all sorts of questions. I think that was a really great, maybe like, I don't know if it, I guess it was because it's part of the film. I felt like that was some kind of critique of culture too, of journalism, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. They're not gonna do anything. They're just gonna, I guess, report, and they only care about how much it's gonna sell.
Yes, yes, yes. There's a part where, well, like one of the newspapers is called the Tattler, which feels very like
Yeah.
critical of journalists. But like, they're after the trial, they walk away, and you can hear them talking about whether or not it's going to be their newspapers are going to be on supermarket shelves. And the
Yeah.
Tattler's like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to be on the shelves.
Yeah. It's just like what a beautiful little. I was wondering why they were in there, and then yeah, as it kept going, I was oh, that's really funny. I like that.
Yeah,
Very
we see
interesting
the
critique.
Yeah, so at this point we see the trial, where the yeah, so like where they it's pretty much a kangaroo court, and Connie, no, not Connie, but uh the other woman, I forget her name.
Cotton.
Cotton, yeah, that's my yeah, so Cotton, they put them on trial, and they also ask Babs what her political beliefs are, and she says another one of my favorite quotes:
Yes.
"Kill everyone now." So yeah,
Kill
I can get
everyone
behind
now.
that.
Condone first degree murder. Advocate cannibalism. Eat shit. Filth is my politics. Filth is my life. This movie is so quotable. There's so many good lines. Even
Hmm.
if they're horrendously delivered, they are so perfectly delivered. that, that like, yeah, I mean, even if the acting is not traditionally good, it's just the way they deliver the lines is so beautiful. Another one of my favorite ones from the Kangaroo Court is um Divine, do you believe in God? I am God. You are God. You are God. I love this movie. Anyway,
Yeah,
Kangaroo
so
Court continues.
yeah, they sentence them to death. And then they tie them to a tree, and Divine proceeds to shoot both Connie and Raymond. I think Raymond first, and then Connie, and you see them with like blood on their heads, and they're
Mm.
presumably dead. The newspapermen have their story, and they walk off, having witnessed a murder. And then the end of the movie comes, and you see Divine eat dog poop, which
Yeah.
John Waters assures us is the real thing. And yeah, like apparently Divine says that like at the end of the movie she had to follow a dog around for like 2 hours, and like they as soon as the dog pooped, they ate it, and they also called the hospital for asking like what would happen if you did something like that, and they said they wouldn't really be anything. So they did it because
Yeah.
it was safe, and that's where the movie ends.
Yeah. Because they're on the run now. Yeah. They wanted to leave to Boise and live inside gas station lavatories to strengthen their filthiness.
Yeah, that's perfection. A weird way to end a weird movie. Um,
Yeah.
so what I liked, I obviously loved Connie. Connie was perfect in this
Mm.
movie.
Yeah, I would say actually maybe the most like I mean, there's like disgusting content, but the part that made me feel the most ill was actually when Connie and Raymond were dead, and you just see their lifeless bodies on the tree, like covered in they were tarred and feathered. Like they were really humiliated by Divine and her family. And then I do love when Divine says like you have, Connie, you have been charged, you have been convicted with assholism. Now you will face your punishment, or something like that. But then she shoots Connie. She's already killed Raymond, who I forgot to mention. I love that he has blue pubic hair.
Hmm.
But um, like when you just see them dead on the tree, I felt like that to me felt made me feel the most like internally like ill and gross. I don't know why. When there was like incest, blowjobs, and some other stuff, I just felt like if it fit perfectly. I thought it was really good. It wasn't like the chicken rape scene that made me feel like, yeah, gross too, but for different reasons. But this one made me feel cold inside. I don't know if you felt the same way. I don't know if it was like the lighting or the way it was shot, but that part actually did feel like a little bit cinematic. Just that shot, and it made me feel really cold inside. But then the rest of it, the very last few minutes were great, ridiculous fun too. I don't know if that was intentional, but that's how I felt. I thought it was really great.
No, I actually really loved the trial and execution scene
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah,
Divine talking about their political beliefs to the journalists
yeah,
there who were really silly. And then the execution. I don't think I had such a negative reaction to it. I thought it kind of went really hard, especially because, with the cops earlier, like they just chop them up and eat them. Don't give you a
yeah,
lot of time to think about it, but they linger on the shot of them being shot in the head, and it feels
yeah,
real. It feels like a tale of revenge there, and
yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good. I mean, it made me feel something. It just made me feel cold inside. Like I felt kind of warm, all this ridiculous fun, but then it felt really serious because there was this like element of revenge, I guess, and it
Mhm.
felt so cold. And I thought it was a great scene, but it just felt like, oh, suddenly the fun is over, and then the fun began again. But anyway, I guess we've talked about everything in the movie. Is that Connie is your favorite part? My favorite part is the carjacking, not carjacking, the hitchhiker almost getting run over, and the I forgot what song that was. It was a great soundtrack for the whole movie, I think.
Mhm.
But that particular scene where Divine is driving and yeah, just about to run over the hitchhiker and maniacally laughing about it, I felt so alive.
Yeah,
uh,
this movie is
oh,
unapologetically trash, and I love it. It's like very in
yeah,
its lane, knows what it wants to be. But of course,
yeah,
the chicken sex, the sound editing isn't that great, and the acting is both good and bad. But like, it's mostly bad. You said it's wooden, and like, I feel like that's a down like one of the bad points about the movie. But yeah,
yeah,
most of the time it's delightfully manic, I would say.
yeah,
Delightfully manic.
yeah. Well, like I said, I think if it wasn't wooden, it wouldn't be a funny movie because like you would be able to take them more seriously. So I think it works for that reason. But yeah, I know we both loved it. Are there any characters you related to the
I wanted
most?
to ask you that. Yeah, because I know it's like it's really bizarre. These characters are not good people, and I could say I don't really identify with any of them because they're all just unusual. But I'd have to say Connie maybe.
Yeah.
Connie's a professional hater. I know you love those types of characters. And I kept thinking
Yeah.
Lucas is gonna love this one.
I idolized this movie. I never knew about it. I'd always wanted to see it. I didn't actually know anything about it till I watched it. Even like when you told me it was disgusting, I was thinking, how gross can it be that Sebastian would think it's disgusting? And then I was just constantly revolted. But um, I think maybe I feel like I relate to Divine the most, perhaps. I don't really care to live like as the most degenerate person in the world who's amoral. But like Divine is free. Like I maybe I'm not free, but I can maybe relate to wanting to be free. Like Divine has no relationship with like societal norms or anything like that. Like they're not transgender. Um, um, oh my gosh, a
Drag
drag
queen.
queen.
Mhm.
They live on the outskirts of society. They live on the it's not even clear how they survive exactly, but they don't feel, none of her family does, but they don't feel like um, anything is holding them back. They just feel like they're free to be who they want to be. And I think I really admire that. I would like to be like that. Maybe not as, I don't want to go to jail or anything like that, but I do appreciate just how far removed from like societal norms Divine is and how free they are to be themselves, even if it's amoral. I think because the whole world is amoral, I think the movie is trying to show
Hmm.
that that's actually the most normal thing you can do and the best thing you can do. So I really like Divine myself. So I maybe I'm not like Divine totally. I still follow societal norms, but I relate to that desire to be that way because she wants to be the most filthiest or maybe the most free in that sense. That's how I took it.
Yeah, those are some really good points about Divine. Just really fascinating character. But I should point out that even though Divine proclaims to be amoral, like Divine is one of the nicest people that in
Yeah,
this movie, and especially
right.
like Divine frees those kidnapped women. Like
Yeah,
Divine is
without
doing
any
more than the rest of
qualms.
society is.
Yeah, she doesn't follow societal norms at all, or they, um, and they're amoral. They cannibalize cops and this kind of stuff. I mean, John Water was saying ACAB before it was cool.
Mhm.
um, well, maybe not before it was cool, but you get the idea. But yeah, they're really nice. They help those girls. They just ask like, do you have any relationship with these two assholes that I don't like? No, we were kidnapped here. Okay, Cracker, let them free, and kill this man if you want. If you don't, we'll do it for you. Like they're a good person,
Mhm.
even though they don't do good things. I think that's also like really great. I think another part of the like kind of commentary of the whole movie.
Yeah, and one other thing that I'll note before we get to the, your or the next section here is
Also
uh
good to her mother.
what?
Also very good to her mother, who's like disabled
Yeah,
and
yeah.
gets married.
Great point. Um, but just a recommendation for me. There are two
Mm.
other Divine John Waters movies. One of them is called Female Trouble. I don't know if you are interested um in like more of Divine. Those are two movies that you might want to seek out, and I don't know where you would find them. Like John Waters seems opposed to streaming, which I can understand because he's probably not making very much money off of streaming. So you'll probably have to look for those movies.
Mm.
But yeah,
I will be there. That's all
yeah,
I
what
can say.
what yeah, I feel like we reached everything we can say about Pink Flamingos, which
Yeah,
is probably a
it's
recommend.
phenomenal.
It's probably a recommend for me, but also with the caveat that this is a grotesque movie at times, and yeah, it's not obviously
Yeah,
not for everyone. But go in knowing what we just
yeah.
told you, and you'll probably maybe enjoy it.
Mm. You need to be a certain level of degenerate to accept what you see in this movie. Um, yeah. So I would say for my next pick, since you decided to choose trash cinema, like this idea of making something like high culture film cinema into low culture kind of stuff, which John Waters did masterfully with Pink Flamingos, and I'm sure other movies. I decided to go with the biggest and the best, a blockbuster. So the blockbuster that I chose is also considered trash because it's not very good. It is the third in a trilogy, not a trilogy now, the third movie in the series. The first one, well beloved. The second one, phenomenally beloved by everyone. Both of them directed by James Cameron. But this movie is not. We are going to watch Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. I don't know if you saw that movie. It's not very good, according to public opinion, but I think it's a very good idea for us to go from the low culture cinema to like high culture blockbuster type. See the contrast in what kind of issues it's talking about or themes or whatever, and then we can reassess how bad is it, or is it just not good compared to the first two. So that's my trash cinema, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, which you can find on YouTube for free.
Okay. Well, just to let you know, I've watched Terminator 3 a lot, a lot of times, but I've
I
never
have, I have
analyzed
seen
it.
it too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really interesting to see us finally hit a mainstream kind of movie. Although some of these movies were mainstream, but this
yeah,
one feels very like not counterculture, but culture. Like it's just this is what
yeah. This
Hollywood
is
turns
true
out.
proper. Yeah, I think the only mainstream movie we watched that was a blockbuster wasn't from Hollywood. It was RRR, which was a huge, phenomenal film.
Hmm.
But I figure if we're gonna go with this low culture type film, let's go with like what's supposed to bring in the money. And ended up being a massive disappointment. And see, what can we make of it? I've seen the movie a ton. I never disliked it as much as other people. I think because I saw it before I saw Terminator 1 and 2,
Hmm.
somehow, some way. I love Terminator 2 the most and then Terminator 1. I thought Terminator 3 was okay, but maybe if I watch it now, I'll see like, this sucks.
How long has it been since
So
you watched it?
10 years, maybe 15.
Wow. Okay.
When did you last watch it? Came out
Probably a
20 years.
couple years ago.
Mm, well, should be interesting.
It's yeah, it's a not good, but yeah, so we reached the end of the video. We hope you learned something about pink flamingos, and maybe might go seek it out again. You can watch it on the Internet Archive for free, although you might want to pay a few dollars to John Waters and find it at wherever they sell DVDs. That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
If you have any thoughts on this movie, let us know in the comments below. Would love to definitely hear what you have to say out there. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, not only to my channel, but also Lucas's channel. He's not really pumping out videos like he used to,
I've
but
got one coming.
there we
I've got
go.
one down the pipeline, coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. Also join the Discord if you want to have further conversations about books or movies or whatever. Should be fun. And until then, we wish you the best of luck in your weird and counterculture travels. Farewell.